Hello everyone, this is Keren from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. This is what I'm going to be making. It's a sweet little box, and when you open it up, inside we have a gift card which just pops up, and you've also got space for a little sweet treat. This happens to be a bar of chocolate. Now, gift cards are a very, very popular choice when you have to give somebody a little present and you don't really know what they'd really like. But just giving them in an envelope, it's a bit plain, it's a bit boring. So I've made this as a way of doing something a little bit special. And if you would like to see how I made it, please stay with me and I will show you. I've cut my Blackberry Bliss cardstock to 9 inches by 7 inches, and I'm going to score it on the 9-inch side at 1 inch, 4 inches, 5 inches and 8 inches, and then I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to score it at 1 inch and at 6 inches. And while I've got my scoreboard out, I've got a piece of Lost Lagoon which is 7 by 5, and I'm going to score that at 2 1/4 inches and at 3 1/2 inches and at 4 3/4 inches. I'm going to put that aside for now and just get my scoreboard out of the way, and I'm just going to burnish these folds, and this one going to burnish that way, and then the other way, and then that way. I'm going to put that aside for now, and on my Blackberry Bliss piece I'm just going to burnish all my edges. I'm just going to snip just up just as far as the edge. And I'm going to just take a sliver out of each of these edges. So off screen I've put some tear and tape onto each of the flaps, and now I'm going to assemble the box. So I'm going to start with the box base. I'm just going to bring my two edges together, and I'm just going to go slightly beyond. Can you see that? Just go slightly beyond the edge. I'll do the same on this side. Bring my edges together and just go slightly beyond, and the same thing for the other part of the base. Take off the backing of my tear and tape, bring my edges together, push that out the way for now, bring the edges together and go slightly beyond. So I've just got a little sliver of card sticking out. Can you see that? And same thing on this side. I push those bits out of the way, bring my edges together and go slightly beyond. And now, because they've got bits sticking out, I'm going to have to give those just a little bit of a trim so that all the edges sit square and flush. So there's the base done. So now I just need to do the lid, and there are only 2 pieces of tear and tape on here. You could use fast fuse, or you could use liquid glue. If you use liquid glue, you need to get a peg or something, or a clip to hold things in place. Now for the lid, I'm going to go up to the edge and I'm going to pull back just a little bit. You see, just the width of the fold. And the same thing on this side. Bring my edges together and just pull back just a hair, just a teeny tiny bit. And I've got a bit of tape there which I will need to get later. Now, by doing that, it means that the lid of the box is just slightly larger than the base of the box, so that you get a good snug fit, but the box doesn't bend or bow. The lid just sits nicely on the base. Got my piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock that I scored earlier on, and I've got the decorative label punch. Folding the Lost Lagoon card in half, and I'm not sure whether you can see, but I've just made a tiny mark at the halfway point, so I've got something to guide me. So I'm going to come in now with my elegant label punch, and I'm just moving it down so that I've got it centered, and I'm cutting halfway into it and press down, and now I've got a nice fancy aperture in the middle of my card. Now this aperture in my card, beautiful though it is, isn't going to be wide enough for my gift card, so I need to cut a slot that's a little bit longer so that the card can actually slide into the holder. So I'm going to work on the back of the card because I want to do some measuring and some marking. And now if you are, if you've got a good eye, by all means feel free not to do this part and just to go straight in freehand. I'm not that clever. Now beforehand I measured my card and I worked out that I needed to have come in from about 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the card, and I also wanted to be about 1/4 of an inch up from the base. So I'm going to mark there, and I'm going to do the same thing from the other side, so about 3/4 of an inch in and 1/4 of an inch up from the base. Okay, and now I'm going to come down, probably about 1/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to repeat that line. And now I have my craft knife, and I'm just going to cut out that slot. And there it is. Now I'm going to assemble my box, and I want to say a couple of things before I start putting things together. Off camera I came in with my 1-inch circle punch and I cut myself a little helper in the lid of the box here. Really I should have done that before I stuck the box together, because I didn't really have enough room to get the depth in to make a really good arch there. So if you're going to do that, do it before you stick your box together. And the other thing I did was I just snipped off the edges of the lid of the box there, just so that it doesn't catch when you close the box up. It just makes it a little bit smoother. Alright, so now it's time to do the assembly. So here's my bit of Lost Lagoon, and I put my tear and tape on the back ready. Oops, it's got a life. It's alive. Now this is important. The side that you cut the slot in needs to go towards the back of the box, so that you're sticking this bit into the lid of the box. If you do it the other way, it will not work. The pop-up will not happen. So it is very important that you do that. And actually when I was cutting that, I think I probably cut it a bit wide, but never mind, it will still work. Okay, so I'm going to push that down into the bottom of the box first, and I'm very carefully going to line this up. And this is a little bit fiddly. And I'm just going to press that down and make sure that that's well stuck. And I'm going to take the tape backing off the other part of the pop-up mechanism. It doesn't want to play. Come on, tear and tape. You can do better than that. It is much easier to work with than the red line tape that we used to use before, the sticky strip. because the backing on that was just frankly evil. It got everywhere. Okay. And that is now complete. So when I open my box, it presents my gift card. This is some of our Wildflower Fields DSP, and I've cut it to 2 1/4 inches by just a hair under 5 inches. And this paper is one of the things that you can earn for free in Celebration this year. If you spend £45 or more in one order before your postage and packaging, then you get to choose something from the Celebration catalogue for absolutely free. And every time you spend £45, you get to choose something. So if your order comes to £90, then you can choose 2 things. And if your order comes to, was it £135, you can choose 3 things. And so on and so forth. And when your order comes to £150, you also qualify for stamping rewards. And then you can choose something from the catalogue, and that's not just the Celebration catalogue. When you hit £150, you can choose something from the catalogue to the value of 10% of whatever it is your order is before postage and packaging. And you also get to choose Celebration items as well. So that is a pretty sweet deal, I think. So that's done the inside of my box. So for the outside of my box, same DSP, but this time I'm going to be having this side up and a piece of Lost Lagoon. And what size did I cut these? Just want to check my notes. The Lost Lagoon is, I think, 2 3/4 by 4 3/4, and the DSP is 2 1/2 by 4 1/2. So I'm just going to layer those up. So, whoops, nearly put the glue on the wrong part there. And you know what, I don't know that I would have put these colours together myself, but I think they work really, really well together. Okay, and that is going to go into the lid of the box, just like that. So now I'm going to decorate the top of my box. And to do that, I'm going to be using this stamp set, which is called Crazy About You. And I've used just that one stamp there, 4. And I have stamped it onto a piece of Whisper White card. And I'm going to cut that out with my extra large oval punch. Now, I want to set this so that the word 4 is off to the top left hand side there. So put that on one side for a moment. So while I've got the scalloped oval punch out, I've got a piece of Lost Lagoon, which is 3/4 of an inch by about 4 inches roughly. The length doesn't really matter because I'm going to cut that down in a minute, and I'm feeding it into my punch. I'm trying to feed it into my punch. There we go. So that just the end of it is underneath the cutting part. This end is free. And snap that out. And oops, I can make it lighter. So that now echoes the shape of the oval. And one more thing, I've got my 1 inch circle punch. I'm going to bring my box back in because I want to see roughly how long I want this to do. So I've got my 1 inch square punch. Did I just say circle? Oh, there's no hope. There's no hope and bob hope. And I'm just bringing that in, so I'm just snipping off the corner. So now it makes a nice little banner tag at the end of my my piece of Lost Lagoon. So nearly ready to put that together. I have here a piece of Hello Honey, which I've cut out with the 2 3/4 inch scallop circle punch, and that is going to sit on that, which is going to sit on that. And one more thing, I have this die which I cut out with the Hello You die set, which is companion set to the Crazy About You stamp set, so that it all goes together like that. So now I'm just going to layer that up. So I'm going to start with a bit of snail. And snail is fine for this because it's purely decorative, and it's not holding any real weight. Okay, so that sits on top of there, and same thing on this one. And that is coming there. We go. Okay, and now that can go onto the top of my box with just a couple of dimensionals. Making sure that I've got my box the right way up, because it would not be unknown for me to do it upside down. Right. And now this die cut's quite fine, so I've got my Tombow multi-purpose glue, and I'm opening it to the broad end, and I'm just putting a little squish of that onto the back of my hand. Now I wouldn't do this if you've got sensitive skin. I'm not particularly sensitive. I do this all the time, and I have no ill effects. And in fact, when I peel the glue off the back of my hand later, it gives the back of my hand a lovely exfoliating treatment. Okay, so this is Calypso Coral, and I'm just going to pat that down on the front of my box. It's done. When I was cutting the slot for the gift card to fit into, I actually went a bit mad. I had a rush of blood to the head or something, and I cut it about 1/8 of an inch deep, and actually 1/16 of an inch would be plenty, because if I bring in my dummy gift card here, it flops about. There's a great deal of play in there, and I don't really want that to happen. I don't really need that. So I came up with the idea of making a little gift card that would also sit in the slot, and you could write a little message on it, a few special words for the person who's going to get the gift card. So that is what I decided to do. So I have myself a scrap of Blackberry Bliss, which is 5.5 inches by 2 inches, and I folded it halfway at 2 3/4, and I've also got a bit of Lost Lagoon, which is about 2.5 inches by 1 3/4, and that is going to go on the front of my card. And I also cut a piece of our Whisper White envelope paper, and that's going to go inside the card and hold the greeting. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to put that on the inside of my card, and I've got somewhere to write a special message for the person who's going to be getting this. There you go. And for the front, here's my bit of Lost Lagoon. I've also got a scrap of the Wildflower Fields DSP, the same paper that I've been using all the way through. And of course, as I have mentioned, no doubt, the benefit of this, my scissors, excuse me, is that it's actually one of the things that you can get for free in Celebration. So can't say fairer than that. So I'm going to put a bit of snail along the back of that, and I've cut it a bit longer than it needs to be. Well, actually I didn't cut it at all, it was just a bit that was left over. So I've folded over the edges, and I'm just going to go quiet for a minute while I try and make sure that this is lined up. Okay, so that is now sitting on there. How's that? That's looking good. It's looking good. Right, now, scrap of Hello Honey, and I'm going to be using this stamp, which is from the Crazy About You stamp set, and I got some Blackberry Bliss ink. And I've got my silicone mat underneath my paper because I'm stamping with a photopolymer stamp, and press down and just hold it just for a few seconds and pop up. And I've got my extra large scallop circle, extra large oval punch. I know what's the matter with me today. My brain and my mouth are not connected. So business as usual then. Here we go. And now that goes onto that with a bit of snail. And I'm going to sit that slightly above the centre because when the card is in the holder, this bit will be more covered than that bit. And again, snail is fine for this because it's not supporting any weight, it's just holding things together. Right, so make sure I've got my card the right way up, because otherwise I will be making an Australian card, which is fine, but it's not the effect that I want. And there's my little greetings card, so if I bring that back in, that now pops in there, and I can put my gift card either in front of it or behind it, depending on what I want to be at the front when the box is opened. Okay, so one more thing. I've got space in here for something else, so I have a bar of chocolate, my favourite chocolate, which I get from Lidl, and it's very inexpensive, and I've wrapped it in a piece of the Wildflower Fields DSP, a bit of Whisper White, bit of Whisper White seam binding around it. Thank you very much. Like I said, mouth and brain not connected, and that just fits nicely in there. And now I've got a gift card, a greeting, and something sweet inside my box. And there it is. And inside I have my gift card, and I have my special greeting card, and I've got my chocolate. So anybody, I think, would be happy to get a little box like this with something nice inside. So I do hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. If so, I would really love it if you would leave me a comment or click the like button. If you'd like to see more of my tutorials, my videos, then please do subscribe to this channel, because there will be more soon. I also have a blog and a Facebook page, and you can get there from the links in the more information box below. And if you want to find out how to get hold of the materials I use, then there will also be a link to my Stampin' Up shop as well. But just for now, thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.